Hi, my name is Mike Barrett from acethelSat.com, also from testingiseasy.com, and in this quick video I want to talk to you about finding free LSAT prep tests online. And the reason I think it's so important to talk about this is because there's actually a lot of fake LSAT questions out there that you might accidentally stumble onto and use, which would be really, really bad. So as you may have found out already, if you go on Google or something and you search a phrase like practice LSAT tests or free LSAT questions or something along those lines, you're going to find several websites that sort of, I guess, try to drive traffic to the sites by basically the person who owns the site just sort of makes up some questions, says that they are practice LSAT questions, puts them up, points a lot of links at them or whatever, and that's pretty much it. That's really all that's going on there. So people try this because they think that those people who go to the internet and search for free practice LSAT tests maybe aren't going to know when they arrive at a question that's garbage or whatever, or maybe even the people who make them up don't realize how important it is not to make up fake test questions when you're practicing. I don't know. But the point is, don't think that just because it would be a really bad idea to have fake LSAT questions out there, that will be enough to keep people from making them and just calling them LSAT questions. Actually, it happens all the time. So you really need to be aware that if you just sort of search randomly and land on some random website like Joe's testprepreview.com or whatever, there's an excellent chance that those questions are made up. In fact, if the website that you land on is not lsac.org itself, then I can go ahead and pretty much guarantee you the questions are made up, or they are being posted in violation of copyright law, which the LSAC, does not like. So you might be asking, why does this even matter? Let me go ahead and explain something very important. Real LSAT questions are a critical part of preparing for the LSAT in the easiest and most efficient way. One thing that's very important to understand is that the LSAT, like all standardized tests, follows certain rules, and those rules inform the creation of the LSAT or the creation of each new version of the LSAT every single time that the LSAT is given. So every single real LSAT that's actually put out by the LSAC and used to test people who are headed to law school, every single one of those tests follows certain underlying rules throughout all of its questions. And if you don't practice with real questions, you'll never learn what those rules actually are. Now, some of these rules are fairly obvious things, some of them are maybe not that obvious, but still there's absolutely no guarantee that a fake question made up by somebody who just wants you to land on their website, there's no way to know that that question is actually going to follow the real rules of the LSAT. And many times I have been asked about a question by a student or a potential student, and I'll look at the question and I'll write back and I'll be like, this isn't a real LSAT question, where did this come from? And they'll say, well, I found it on this website or that website or whatever. And then I need to explain that actually the way this particular fake question was written, it could be that maybe multiple answer choices that are here would be valid answer choices if they appeared on the actual LSAT, or maybe none of the answer choices would actually be valid choices. Sometimes some of these questions don't even use like proper grammar or anything like that. I mean, it's really sad, some of the things that you can find. If you learn, so to speak, how to answer those types of fake questions, that's actually not going to help you. Notice I put learn there in quotes because you're not actually getting better at something when you learn to sort of answer those fake questions. Basically, the only way to answer some of these really poorly written fake LSAT questions is to sort of learn how to guess correctly, or kind of read the test's mind, or learn, I guess, what you could call the sort of warped logic of whoever wrote the question. You really don't want to do those things. You don't want to habituate yourself to that. Instead, it's very important that you look only at real LSAT questions, so that whatever you habituate yourself to, whatever instincts you develop, you know that those are going to be good, valid instincts for future tests if they were good, valid instincts for all past real LSAT tests. So, you don't want to use these fake LSAT questions that you can find all over the internet, in my opinion. What you would much rather do is go to the only source for real questions, and that of course is the LSAC, or if you're talking about the website, it's lsac.org. Now, lsac.org does offer a couple of free resources just as a way to sort of get your toes wet or whatever with the LSAT, if that metaphor even makes any sense. And so they offer some PDFs with like a couple of free questions and explanations and so on. They also offer an entire full-length sample test, and they have some things for sale. First, let's talk about the free stuff, though. I really strongly advise you to get these free materials from the LSAC. Probably one test isn't going to be enough long term. It might be enough to sort of see kind of what's going on, how the test works, but probably you're going to want to actually practice executing your ideas on real tests. So I would get the free materials from the LSAC, and then for paid things, you can also order those from LSAC.org. But I would actually strongly advise that you just order them from Amazon, because Amazon is a lot awesomer than LSAC.org. It's just a much easier to use website and everything else. The last time I tried to order something from the LSAC site, which granted was a while ago, maybe they've changed it, I don't know. But the last time was just a tremendous pain in the ass, so I would just use Amazon if it were me. But definitely get the free stuff from LSAC, because it's the only source of those things. Now, LSAC's website itself is kind of obnoxious to use, and they're always changing it around, and it's not very well designed. There's a lot of information on there. I mean, it's not their fault, but the LSAC basically has to communicate to a lot of different people about a lot of different things, and so it's not always easy to land there and then find your way from the homepage to whatever it is you're looking for. So the easier way to do this is just to go to Google and search the phrase lsac.org, and then space LSAT, and then space prep, just basically that whole phrase as I've written it out right here. And at the moment that I did this anyway, when you do that, one of the top results should be something that's actually on the lsac.org website, and it should have some links from there to the free PDF materials that the LSAC makes available. So that's how you get the free stuff. And then, like I said, otherwise beyond that, I would just go to Amazon myself and order some real test questions there. Now you might be asking, well, why would I pay for real tests? Like, why does that even make any sense? Actually, it's critical, in my opinion, to pay for real LSAT tests. Not so much that the paying itself is important, but you need real LSAT test questions to work with for all the reasons I've been describing so far. And the only way to get them beyond this free thing that the LSAC makes available in the one-shot deal, the only way to get more tests is to pay for them. Now, like I was saying, it's really critical that you work with real questions, but you don't have to work with like tons of them. A lot of people out there are going to try to say, well, you have to take 15 tests or 30 tests, or you have to do like 2 tests a week or 1 test a day for a month. Or there's all kinds of sort of, in my opinion, a little bit overzealous types of plans out there. Let's put them that way. I'm not saying you need to do that, but you do need some real questions. I would just go on Amazon myself and order a book of 10. There's 3 or 4 now books of 10 questions you can get. Some people say get the most recent. It doesn't actually matter, but it doesn't hurt to get the most recent either, so you might as well, whatever. And then just go ahead and get that book of 10, and you can use those to start. And if you use up all of those 10 things and you feel like it's worth it to buy another book of 10, then of course, you just go ahead. Now, I understand the desire to be thrifty and not to waste money if there are free questions out there you can practice with. But let me say again really clearly, the so-called free questions that you find if you just Google it and go to any non-LSAC website, they really can't be relied upon. And because doing well on the LSAT relies so heavily on appreciating subtleties of the way things are phrased and kind of knowing instinctively if it says this, I should look for that, because that's such a huge part of the LSAT, in fact, I would argue that's kind of what the whole LSAT is about, if you're not practicing with real things, you're going to be in trouble, honestly. And if you want to save money, I understand that, but you got to look at it sort of more broadly. Your legal education is going to cost you significant amounts of money in almost every case. To spend another $10, $20, $30 buying LSAT prep materials up front really, I think, is smart if you consider the potential payoff that it could have long term, if it helps you boost your LSAT score a little bit, if that helps you get into a more competitive or a less expensive law school. Either way, long term, if you're looking out 5-6 years from now in your life, the potential impact on your annual salary could be much, much greater than the $20 or $30 you're going to spend right now buying a couple of books from Amazon. So again, I'm not saying don't be thrifty. I'm not saying I don't get it. I'm just saying take the long view here. So saving $20 now, not buying this book, even if you spend $100 on test prep material, saving $100 now, not doing those things, really is going to cost you probably a lot more than that amount of money when push comes to shove later on. So I would strongly advise you to pay for the real tests. They're not exorbitantly priced. They're extremely important. I would just go ahead and do that now if I were you. Now, if you would like some help on how to make the best use out of these real LSAT questions you're going to get for free from LSAC.org, and also perhaps for money from Amazon.com, then I would refer you over to my other website at acethelSAT.com. You can also, of course, check out my test prep blog at testingiseasy.com, and there's all kinds of things there, free articles, white paper, testimonials, all kinds of stuff like that. The reason I'm mentioning these two resources is that while I'm a strong supporter of the idea of using real LSAT questions in your LSAT preparation, and again, I'm pointing out that you have to get those things directly from LSAC, whether you buy them from LSAC itself or you buy them from Amazon, but LSAC is the publisher. While it's important to use those real test questions, I would strongly advise you not to use the LSAC's test-taking strategies. In my opinion, those are quite bad, and it's either that the LSAC hasn't figured out how easily the LSAT can be beaten, which might be the case, or they're kind of aware of it but they don't want you to know, which could also be the case. I'm not really sure which one it is. At any rate, I mean, certainly feel free to do what you want, but I certainly don't consider the LSAC's test-taking advice to be what I would recommend to anyone. So again, here are some resources you can use, acethelSAT.com and testingiseasy.com, when it comes to LSAT test-taking strategy. Whether you decide to use those things or not, I wish you the best of luck in your LSAT quest, and I hope that this video will at least keep you from falling prey to all of those very tempting, free but totally fake LSAT questions that you'll find on the non-lsac.org website. So, thanks again for watching this. Wish you the best of luck. Talk to you soon.